Welcome to another episode of the Olive Roots podcast. I'm your host, Shozi Ayub. This is my first time going live, and I have my best friend, Mahmood OD. Mahmood,
Thank you for having me, bro. How are you?
I'm good. Hopefully, this is going to be smooth sailing because this is my first time doing a live.
Well, even if it's not smooth sailing, even if my picture is freezing a little bit here and there, it'll work out eventually.
Hopefully, man. Well, thank you for taking the time to join me today. And
Oh, no problem. Pleasure, my friend.
yeah, thank you for all
How's
the help.
everything going? The world
Everything.
is running wild.
Oh man, the world is burning, guys. The world is coming to an end. So,
What's happening with the world?
well, let's see. What I want to talk about today is mostly the influence of Zionism on the situation in Iran. As we've seen
Yeah.
videos in the beginning of the protests that turned to riots, we've seen a lot of weird stuff happening in Iran. And then in the US on TV, because I live in South Georgia, so there's not much going on here. But I'm watching TV and I'm seeing weird combination of the Iranian flags with the lion on them and the Israeli flags. And then you hear about the Mossad boasting that they were there doing operations. So there's a lot of things that are unclear. And then the video of the Shah talking about how he's going to bring democracy to Iran. So let's begin with one of those things. Let's start with what happened in Iran. I want to know, in your opinion, what do you think is really happening right now in Iran since the beginning of these peaceful protests?
What's happening in Iran is something that happens in Iran very casually, by the way. Protests. There were protests that began for economic purposes. Some people, some traders had a problem with the economic policy and the fact that they had some restrictions to do with operations, primarily from the government's perspective and its Department of Finance to try and control currency rates, everything to do with the finances of the country. So people were protesting, they were not happy with that. Now, the funny thing is the protests and the protesters, they had genuine objections, which is totally fine. The establishment, the supreme leader, everyone said that they're right to have protests, no problem. They had talks with them. They had lots of talks with them, and they met their needs. So they had the adjustments required. They have conducted certain measures, and they made certain implementations that were immediate, by the way. And some of them are going to take place in March. Now, from the beginning, or just shortly after, these protests were infiltrated. They were infiltrated by who? By the Mossad. The Mossad started to have operations that are completely reckless. Operations to attack people, wreak havoc in the state as a whole, and then expand all of these problems to all parts of Iran. All of that happened, and it happened fairly quickly. And now, from an Iranian perspective, the Iranian authorities did not wish to have any sort of violence against the protesters. That led to rioters who were infiltrating the protests to start attacking not only the security services, but the average civilians. Then it started to escalate even further by foreign countries outright confirming that they have been interfering in the affairs in Iran. Israel sending Mossad agents, Mike Pompeo confirming that there are Mossad operatives over there. It reached a stage where Israel was boasting about having armed people going in, killing officers from the establishment. Thankfully, the Iranian people, many of the Iranian people, they were very, very aware of what's happening. They started to expose some of these people as soon as the protests began. Then they had counter protests to start going against the rioting. And this is where everything started to get more momentum. We started to see millions of people inside Iran protesting for the country, for the establishment, against the rioting, against all of these problems being caused by the foreign-backed traitors. And now everything de-escalated. We've had talks in the beginning that, okay, well, the United States is going to participate and Israel might participate. At one point, nothing happened, to a level where now Donald Trump is saying that, oh yeah, they promised me that they're not going to have any sort of executions or what have you, as if they were executing anyone. The only countries that are executing is the United States executing people, ICE executing women, because they drive. That's what they do. And although the United States is de-escalating its tone now, there are multiple indications that a huge risk remains there in an attack against them. Because the United States has certain deployments, they made military moves, Iran itself is in peak readiness. There's been support coming from China, from other countries as well, to Iran. And it's very typical for the American administration in Israel to talk nice before an attack happens. That's why people shouldn't buy into the claims of Donald Trump that, things are de-escalating now, because there's still a serious risk.
Yeah, what struck me was, starting to see the protest, millions of people in the streets. And, the economy is really bad over there. There's no Rothschild bank, so people are struggling there for a long time, decades. And in every country, you're going to have people that like the government or not. I mean, look at the United States of America, right?
Of course.
So what struck me is they started burning mosques. I'm like, okay, if the majority of the people there are Muslim, why are they burning mosques? And I'm like, there's only one group of people that usually burn mosques and
burns
bomb mosques, right?
Yeah. And churches.
Yeah, and churches. So it was very obvious to me that you have a group of men that go in there, shoes on, in a mosque, and start burning ancient. I mean, Iran is old, right?
Very.
And they're burning like thousands of years old artifacts and things that are there that I don't even know about, right? So that's when I realized, I was like, these are not Iranians. And then I see a video of these guys shooting at the police or the military. And these are not guys like you and me that are just tuk, 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 tuk. These guys know what they're doing. So I'm like, is this trained militia? Where is this militia from? And then all of a sudden you have the Israeli news boasting that, yeah, we have Mossad operators there. And then Pompeo in the United States of America post on X something along the line of like, oh, enjoy the Mossad among you.
Yeah, happy New Year to the Mossad agents among them too.
Yeah. And then I see, every time I see that new or old flag of Iran with the lion, whatever you call that flag, I see the Israeli flag. And then you see all these people saying, "Free Iran," with the accent. I'm like, okay, first of all, you're not Iranian, you're Israeli. And then the other Iranians that are waving those flags are Zionists.
That's what we have. You said about the mosques. In the first couple of days, there were reports from Iran that they burned 25 mosques, and Husseyniyat, they called them as well. Then officials said the number of damaged mosques reached 125 places. The shooting, investigations in Iran that were reported spoke about the orders that these people were getting. So we're clearly talking about organized militias. And the orders were shoot at officers. If you can't shoot at officers, shoot at protesters, because the Mossad and the Israelis, they want to create havoc everywhere. That's why there was a high death casualty, a high casualty rate. And also, one thing, by the way, Iran declared that 2/3 of the people who were killed were martyrs. What does that mean? That means that most of the people who were killed are either genuine Iranians or from the law enforcement agencies, who, by the way, refrained from shooting back in many cases. They had orders not to shoot. Today, one of the senior figures in the Iranian army, the general, I believe, of the Iranian army, Abdurrahim Musawi, said, had the Iranian forces decided to shoot at these rioters, everything would have been over in 2 hours. But they showed restraint as much as possible. So that's one big question. Who shoots at mosques? Who destroys them? Who likes doing these things? Israel.
Yeah.
They destroyed almost all mosques in Gaza, some of the oldest churches in Gaza. And they do that in other parts too. They strike mosques and churches in Lebanon. And that's their nature. How can any Iranian decide that as a form of financial protest, I'd go and burn something? We clearly have here an attempt to start problems and wreak havoc. And then when you start listening to the mainstream media narrative, buying into the Zionist propaganda, just as they did in October 2023, you start to realize where everything is going. As a matter of fact, we've had certain figures that claim to be, on the oppressed side and on the people's side, starting to entertain the idea of propaganda. And what people need to understand here is very simple. Number one, think whatever you want to think about the establishment in Iran. Agree or disagree with them. People have a right to vote, to protest, and they did have that right, and they exercised that right. Protesting isn't abnormal to Iran. What happened was very insignificant in comparison to previous years, by the way. Very, very insignificant. However, to come and portray a confirmed act of the genocide state and its proxies, supporting armed people to cause havoc and kill innocent women and children, and portray that as a people's revolution, you're totally misleading the public. And what do they want out of it? They failed in June. They tried to take down the establishment in June. Let's say it as it is. Israel said they want to take down the regime, right? Regimes, talking about the Iranian government as a regime. The Israeli regime, the American regime, other European regimes. Talking about Iran. Iran, whether you like it or not, it has a democracy. Yes, it does have a supreme leader. And don't Western countries have monarchies? Institutions that combine democracy and monarchy? And why is that acceptable here and not there? So they'll tell you, oh, theocracy, whatever. Yeah, of course, they have layers of, religious coatings on it. And again, agree or disagree with the establishment in Iran. At the end of the day, they are facing the repercussions of their positions. They're the third richest country in terms of oil reserves, with over 210 billion barrels of oil, crude oil. They are a country that has been constantly supporting the Palestinian cause, regardless of who's there, by the way, in Palestine. It's not like a movement or whatever. Since they had their revolution in 1979, they declared support for. So before they were meeting with the PLO, and then they were meeting with other organizations, whoever is resisting Israel. They were offered a lot, by the way, to support Israel against the Palestinians, including lifting of sanctions. But instead, because they're not subjugated and they refuse to be surrendering to this Zionist cabal globally, they're being targeted, and the people are being sanctioned. And they have a problem now because they also have backdoors. Iran, from within the BRICS, they're finding back routes or backdoors to avoid these sanctions that are imposed on them by the United States of America. And they don't like that. So they said, okay, hold on a second. There are protests now. Let's try and do something with them. Thankfully now, by the way, the streets are normal. We're not even hearing about any kind of protest or anything. But the risk remains there. Because you remember what happened in June 2025. They were in talks. First of all, the whole thing is ridiculous. The United States had an agreement with Iran to do with its nuclear project, regardless of all of the hypocrisy surrounding this talk even. As if some countries are entitled and some countries aren't. Trump withdrew from it unilaterally in 2018 approximately because Israel lobbied him to. Then he tries to negotiate back, and during the negotiation, Israel strikes, he endorses, asks Iran to surrender, and when they realize their power, they give Israel an exit with the final attack. You see the whole chaos and the type of world that the American administration is creating.
Yeah.
Everything based on bullying and force.
To me, the ultimate hypocrisy are a few things. Number one, this is an entity that has been committing a genocide and arming an entity to commit a genocide for the past 2 years, claiming that they care about the well-being of the Iranian people and that the Iranian people are oppressed and we need to save Iranians and free Iran from the Khomeini and the rest of the establishment. So to me, the irony of them not caring about people getting bombed 2 years. Number two, they talk about like bringing democracy to the women that are forced to wear headscarves. Where were you when women were getting butchered in Gaza? It was not about a headscarf. It was about life or death. Crickets, right? So to me, that's all the hypocrisy. The third one, and that I want to talk to you about, the Shah. We know this is the son of the previous Shah, the king of Iran, right? And all of a sudden he pops out of nowhere and getting interviewed, and they're prepping him up like they did with Zelensky, with Julani in Syria, because we got to get rid of the evil one and put the good one, but then you put another evil one, right? So I've seen the video, which I did a video about it that I'm going to post tomorrow about the Shah. And he starts talking about how he's preparing himself to go back to Iran, to lead Iran, make it secular. And then one of the first things he wants to do is to recognize Israel. And as soon as he said that, I was like, there you have it, guys. I mean, what else do you want to know? You know what I mean?
He's incomparable. Even if you want to compare him to Syria, incomparable, because those people were in Syria. The son of the Shah never spent a moment in Iran. Reza Pahlavi is outside of Iran all the time. It's not as if he is sitting in his country resisting the establishment, right? He's outside leeching off other people, living off other people, supported and pampered by the Western establishment. He had a podcast with PBD the other day, during which, it was actually a couple of years back, but during which he was stating about going back to Iran. And he said, what am I going to go back to? My friends are here in America, everything is here. You're talking about a man who spends his time entertaining himself and partying and what have you. You're completely disconnected with the demands of the people, with the struggles of the people in Iran. And the thing is, some of these people, they have no respect for themselves whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's like they're happy with the fact that they can be planted against people's demands, going all of a sudden from a different geography, a different society, different surrounding, different financial system, different everything, on another people to control them. All of this proves that he's a puppet. And then, like you said, he had a statement yesterday because Donald Trump was shifting his tone slightly. Listen, he got offended when they stopped attacking Iran in June, and he unfollowed Trump and Netanyahu on social media. So now he thought it's his time again. Although Trump himself again said he's not sure if the Shah would be the best fit for Iran. After Trump started to change the tone slightly, Pahlavi, or the Bahlawan, as I call him in Arabic, the clown. Although Bahlawan has different meanings. Yeah, but Bahlawan, it had different meanings, by the way, to do with positive things sometimes, but we use it in our context as a clown.
Yeah.
Bahlawan. He made a video statement, and in that video statement, he was addressing Israel. You know, if I'm gonna be the leader of Iran, I'm gonna immediately recognize Israel and join the Abraham Accords and an additional accords called the Cyrus Accords. I'm gonna stop supporting all of the movements that oppose Israel. I'm gonna get rid of our nuclear program. Basically, I'm gonna make Iran nicely scaled and gutted before the Zionists come and slice it up to 14 different pieces.
Well, they said MIGA, MIGA, make Iran great again. I was like, no, you're making Israel great again.
It's make Israel great again. Oh, MIGA. We know exactly what he means by MIGA.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, listen, the funny thing is, some people fall for this BS.
I know.
Some people actually fall for this BS. Firstly, are you trusting the narrative on what? Fox News and BBC? Are you trusting that narrative? 2 years of brainwashing and propaganda, and all of a sudden they're going to tell you what's happening in Iran. Simultaneously with these events in Iran, infants were freezing to death in Gaza due to hypothermia imposed on them by Israel that's backed by this Western establishment. What are you even talking about?
That cares about Iranians.
Cares about Iran. They don't care about anyone.
They don't even care about Americans.
Dude, they're killing Americans. That's what I always say. It's not like people and no. They don't even care about Americans. A white American woman was killed by an ICE thug who gets trained by the IDF in Israel, by the way. Many of them get training in Israel.
Oh, yeah.
These 3-letter agencies. White woman gets shot in the head. They'll find an excuse. That's what people need to understand. That's what the average person needs to understand. They play upon the racism and bigotry card with you for divide and rule, to make it easier for them. Really and truly, they couldn't care less about you, because when it's time to kill you, they will come up with a new excuse. So that woman, by the way, in America, who simply made a comment against ICE presence and tried to leave without, they tried to portray it as if she was trying to run him over. We clearly saw from multiple angles she was turning her wheel, trying to rush away. He was deliberately standing there, staying there to shoot her in the head, and later say she tried to run me over. I felt a threat.
Yeah.
He pulled his gun out before anything. He wanted to kill that woman.
Yeah, he was.
And after they kill her, what do they say? They'll tell you an act of domestic terrorism. She was a radical leftist agitator who tried to obstruct police officers' role.
Yeah, I mean, that's
the
narrative. The narrative right now is that, oh, this is the liberal movement. This is another George Floyd. Well, she's homosexual. And they're trying to sell this as still the two-party system, us versus them, when we know it's two wings of the same bird. And some people are like, well, he's defending himself. And I was like, shooting her 3 times in the head? What are we doing?
Homosexual, does that justify killing? Aren't you supposed to be all open and liberal?
And she's an
Does that mean you
American.
can take her life away? She's
why?
an American woman. She's a white American woman. She isn't, not that, say, by the way, I hate all of this race kind of division thing. To me, I view the humans as equal, but I'm talking about it from their talking point. And the reason we're highlighting this, to give an example on how they actually start to come up with new excuses to justify their brutality, to justify the true corrupt authoritarian nature of the whole establishment. The only regime there is now is the United States. Well, not the only one, but at least the biggest one. Sending federal agents to every state that they don't really like that much under any pretext. They call these people aliens. Imagine how they degrade them with the terminology. Oh, they targeted an alien. And then you'll have people justifying that. Because someone was fleeing from another country that you starved to death, like Venezuela, you impose sanctions on them. And when they flee, you complain. What are you, twisted? Do you have any logic? Plus, who are you? Where did your great-grandparents come from? Immigrants. Were they legal? Did they ask permission for someone to come? They didn't ask permission from anyone. They came, invaded, occupied, and killed, and controlled. And these people running away from countries under extreme starvation and poverty imposed on them due to American sanctions. Yet you have some people justifying it in the United States of America.
And this ICE is becoming a big problem because they're funded like crazy and they're everywhere but on the border. These are supposed to be people that are going to protect the border from alien invasion, as they call it. Why are you in the cities of the United States looking for people that look like you and me, that have an accent, or that are not white or whatever, or black American? They're even stopping Americans and be like, are you an American citizen? And I'm like, this is fascism, guys. This is what Nazi Germany did.
It is. That's exactly what they do. And they try and justify it under any excuse, under any pretext. Well, it's needed so that we can have deterrence and kick people out and gain back control and make America great again. Was it ever great, dude? Was there ever? What are you even talking about? It's like they created this alternative reality in their brains.
Fantasy.
And to shut the people up, they'll tell them, we want to make it great. Great what? The man, the moment he came, Trump, and I was warning people about him before people started to vote, because some people were fooled by him back in 2016. It's like we knew he was a Zionist from back then. Did you not see what he did to Israel? Moving the embassy to Jerusalem, recognizing the annexation of the Golan Heights, withdrawing from the nuclear agreement that they had with Iran and the deal that they had for the sake of Israel, and all of that. And now he's boasting about being the most friendly president to Israel in history.
He's the
do you not see that?
President of peace.
President of peace. But there's a psyop inside of the United States that targets people who are critical of some of the policies of Trump, but keep them on the Trump camp. And how are you actually trying to justify that position? I'm not entirely sure, but they're trying to do that. So I have a president. He is serving a foreign entity. He is going against American interests. He hasn't done anything to support the average American. He killed innocent people. He boasts about the war criminal Netanyahu using his weapons well. He kills Americans in the streets. And then you have people cheering him. it's as if they're hypnotized. But instead of the circle, instead of the circle and the black and white, and you look at it like that and you start to turn your head, it's the manipulation and the media and the consumption that they get. And they start to think that that's normal.
It's a cult. The mega became a cult. And it's like if Trump is leading the sheep to slaughter, they're like, yeah, for example, they're saying, yeah, no more wars. We're not going to go to wars. Trump is anti-war. And now they're like, yeah, war is good. Let's go kill Iranians for freedom of Iran. And I never.
And Venezuela.
Yeah.
And Venezuela is necessary because we need to control the oil, like that pastor.
Oh yeah, man! The holy
oil, my lord!
The holy oil. But another thing about the Shah,
he was closing his eyes. Oh yeah,
that's all we need to see, guys.
That's all we need to see.
That's all we need to see. But if we need to see again something else,
that's all we need to see, isn't it?
Like, what else do you want me to say, guys? This is the guy, the good Shabbos goy wearing the tiny hat, going to the Wailing Wall, touching the Antichrist wall, and praying.
Your typical wall humping.
I wonder if this guy is a crypto of another religion.
I don't care. I'm honest with you, I don't care. The way I view it is, what do? You see, you wouldn't have a problem with anyone, regardless of his or her identity, if they are implementing policies that are both good and equal to the people.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say Israel is a Jewish state, but they actually commit to the 10 Commandments, right? Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal.
Yeah.
I wonder why they don't talk about the 10 Commandments too much. And they're just to everyone. No. And they're just for everyone. Would you have a problem if you're living under a Jewish or a Christian country or whatever country, an irreligious country, but a country that is granting you equal rights, is not terrorizing you, is not discriminating against you, is not using any sort of intimidation to subjugate you to a certain political opinion, which is considered to be terrorism? And the irony is that they use it under the pretext of terrorism against people. Would anyone have a problem? There wouldn't be a problem. But again, they use these terms to control, manipulate, subjugate people, and divide. That's why you'll see them trying really hard now to come up with this, with like new waves of false flags here and there, to generate, some artificial sympathy and what have you.
Yeah, this is how much Israel cares about the Jewish people.
Dude, they do that every week. That's the Haredi Jews. They get beaten every single day. They don't care. They first they behave like animals. They have an animalistic, brutal approach towards everyone who opposes them. And inside of Israel, whether it's Jewish professors, university lecturers, politicians, religious people, whatever it is, if they have any element of opposition to the state, they're terrorized and in many cases killed. Of course, there are levels. I mean, their hand is much quicker, lighter on the trigger when it comes to, Palestinians. But still, that's what they do. Yeah, these protests, look.
Yeah,
and they've been protesting more and more. No, they call it the Zionist army. And
they call them Nazis.
They do. They
Yeah.
do. You're right. You're right. And again, the mainstream media wouldn't show this. They wouldn't tell you, oh, masses of Jews protesting in Israel and the country slaughters them. They don't say that.
Yeah, because then that would kill the whole narrative because you want to try to claim that you're creating a place where you respect every faith, but actually, when these people came, even before 1948, their first target guys, that most people don't know that, were Palestinian Jews.
Of
They had
course.
they had to strip the Palestinian Jews out of the Palestinian identity and the Jewish identity and make them Zionists, Israelis. Then they went after the Palestinian Muslims and Christians. So definitely, I would say they went after the Palestinian Jews. Then they went after the Palestinian Christians because Palestinian Christians went down to barely 1% of the population right now. And now they're like, okay, now it's time to get the Palestinian Muslims. I mean, it's very clear to me Israel is at war with the three Abrahamic faiths.
Israel is at war with humanity. I think the people in power, not just in Israel, but even if you talk about the United States too, Israel primarily, though, are the absolute epitome of evil against human beings. They have no consideration to human life. They have no consideration to any innocent life. They justify every act of barbarism that they commit on a day-to-day basis on so many levels. They say that in their day-to-day television and media. Everyone is an enemy. Their children are enemies. There's no one innocent in Gaza. Because they do actually believe some of these things based on some of their scriptures.
Yeah, they pick and choose.
Why was Netanyahu using the Amalek
Amalek.
quotes? Why is he using it? To justify eliminating a whole population.
Yeah, man. It's interesting when they refer to the Amalek. That was a scripture in the Old Testament, which already was fulfilled, and those people are no longer on earth. So it's interesting that they try to say that the Gazans are the Amalek because the Amalek were the Philistines and the Philistines were in Gaza. And I'm like, bro, the Philistines were Greek people. The Palestinians are not the Philistines, and the Israelis are not the Israelites. Actually, if you want to think about it, it's backwards. Who is currently David and who's Goliath? I believe David is the child with the stone, the rock, and Goliath is the Israeli tank. So it's interesting how the whole story shifted by watching it just manifest. So it's been very crazy to see that they try to use scripture to justify the murdering of children, but you have to understand these people thrive according to their religious beliefs on the blood of children. Innocence, they have to suck the blood of children. So the more children they sacrifice, they can say whatever their excuses. They're going to be Hamas when they grow up or whatever. But to them, that kind of empowers their God, little g God, because it's not my God.
Mm.
And I think the more they sacrifice, the more they can feed their Moloch, their Baal, their little letter G for God. And that's what these people truly believe. Another thing that most of the audience doesn't know, that under the
Excuse
Aqsa
me.
Mosque, the Dome of the Rock, which they call the Temple Mount, I don't know if you know this, Mahmoud, but they have dug so deep down there, and under where the Muslims are praying, these Talmudic Israelis, they're doing Talmudic rituals under
I
where the
know.
Muslim prays and put his head down. They're doing satanic rituals under the mosque. Under the
Was it a
mosque.
coincidence? Was it a coincidence when they had their holiday where they burned things, the Slag Ba'omer thing, and they were burning tents in Gaza? Was that a coincidence?
Oh yeah. I mean,
They were burning people alive.
that's what the Holocaust
They
means.
were,
It means a fire offering.
and then tomorrow, I mean, maybe one day they will say that, you know, Sauron, the Dark Lord of Mordor from the Lord of the Rings, was the man who was promising them the land, you know, and they want to conquer Middle Earth.
Master. All right, Mahmoud, should we take some questions?
Yeah, sure. Let's open the space up for the community. Check if they have any questions for us.
Do you want me to put the comments on stage or just read something?
Yeah, you can put them. Yeah, you can put them on thing. Yeah, we can see them here. I can see also from the chat.
Let's see. Let me start back from the top. Oh man, there's a lot of stuff. Okay, I'm back to the top. Let's see. You guys can ask questions, and if you see something, let me know. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for all the love. They love you, Mahmoud.
I love them too. I mean, a lot of love, not just a little bit. If I haven't told you guys that I love you, I do.
Yeah. Wow, we have a blend of different kinds of people. I love this, man. Love you, Palestine. All right. Love you guys. We love you too. Trump never attacked Iran. All BS. Yeah, I mean, you know that fake.
Yeah, I think he's also. But by the way, we shouldn't get dragged too much by what he says, because to be honest with you, the guy is a pathological liar. Number one. Secondly, he constantly tries to use ambiguity to keep an element of secrecy in what he does, or confuse his foes so that he can try and do things and surprise them when the time comes. That's something that people need to be wary of, because look at what he's done before he attacked Iran. What did he do? He started to negotiate. When he was negotiating, he was saying everything is all well and fine, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And later on, he showed his true colors. So no one should believe him. But we do need to remember that there are camps that are not necessarily for, you know, war in the United States. But there is a lobby that is very powerful that does want war.
Yeah, let's see. We got this question from John H59. Do the Iranians have nukes from Russia or Pakistan? What do you think, Mahmoud?
I think there were reports. Firstly, they may have a nuclear bomb. I mean, they're entitled to have a nuclear bomb because we live in a nuclear world where nuclear powers use nuclear weapons to intimidate other countries and deter them. Therefore, Iran is entitled to have nuclear bombs. However, they officially say that it's against their doctrine, but we don't know if they might secretly have a nuclear bomb. And their level of enriched uranium enables them to have a bomb from a very long time ago. Some reports said that Pakistan made it available for them in case they need it. Likewise with Russia, it doesn't take a lot. Iran has the missiles to put a nuclear bomb on. But so long as that isn't declared, they will remain in the same vulnerable position. So unless Iran comes out tomorrow and says we are a nuclear power with X many nuclear bombs, and if anyone threatens us, we can use them, they will still be in the same position they are in, because they're trying to create an equation of deterrence without nuclears. And I mean, look what happens. And ask yourself, why do countries with nuclear bombs don't necessarily get attacked? North Korea, I mean, the moment you strip them off deterrence, they start to get attacked. Now, ideally, the ideal situation is not only to get rid of the nuclear bombs, but to get rid of this whole army thing and fighting in wars, because people can talk to each other However, people profit from it. And we live in a world that isn't ruled by morals and virtue. It's ruled by
Absolutely.
force.
Yeah.
And if it's like that, then Iran is entitled to have nuclear bombs, whether on its own or from Russia or from China.
I mean, you think about North Korea, the only reason nobody mess with them is because they have
That's
nuclear weapons.
yeah, yeah. And there's a person who's willing to press the button too.
Yeah, he's just waiting. He's like,
He'll be laughing.
Let's see. We got another question. Venmail 1579. The question is, what will likely happen to the evil Zionist? I will give my answer first. I think they're on their last leg. And I believe before they are destroyed, they have to create so much chaos and havoc around the world. Think about it as somebody sinking through a hole. They're just going to try to keep reaching. And before they collapse all the way, they have to destroy the world with them. Remember that Israel has the Samson option, which means if we feel like we're going to be done for, we're going to hit the button to nuke the whole world. Think about the Bible, Samson and the Philistines. He had two columns, and he says, "Alayya ala a'da'i," on me and my enemies, and bukh, right? What do you think, Mahmoud?
I think that Zionism will inevitably perish. It's only a matter of time. However, they do have power, they do have reach, they do have control, and they do have influence and top leading figures across the world, very influential positions. And that's how they manage to keep themselves there to this moment. Because think about it. The global population doesn't see them as anything normal. They don't give them legitimacy. They don't believe in Israel's right to exist as a state, as it is, an apartheid entity, subjugating people based on their race and their religion. The global population supports the Palestinian side, supports the Palestinian resistance, support their quest for liberty, their fight for freedom. The only way that the Israelis are creating a narrative, or Israel as a country, Zionism is creating a narrative, is by its influence, by media, by brutal force. And it's as if they're taunting the world about it, and lecturing and bragging about it. That they're controlling the media, that they're buying more media, that they're manipulating more, and that they will remain there. All of these things, that they control presidents and run presidents. They're bragging about it now. However, these ideologies, historically speaking, they don't have a future. They don't work. What works is when you have sane countries, civilized countries with civilized institutions. Israel represents everything that goes against civilization. Brutality, murder, control by force, racism, arrogance, depravity, genocide, infanticide, everything ugly in the world. Them and every person who supports them. And there aren't many across the world, by the way. If you have like independent stats, so that ideology doesn't have a future. The future is where people are viewed equally, with equal rights, get granted equal rights, and are viewed as human beings, a human family. Not where people try and enforce their will on others by brutal force because they view them as goyim and others and below them and believe that and have control. Another way that they're continuing their control is through terrorism. Manipulation of historical facts, the never-ending victimhood narrative, the criminalization of any criticism of anything to do with them and their history, and regardless of how much of that was made up and fake. So people will be like on the back foot whenever they want to speak about them or their country, Oh no, someone might get offended, someone might get. right? That's how they instill this terrorism and fear in people so that they don't criticize them. Let alone, of course, the anti-Semitism, this fake anti-Semitism thing that has nothing to do with, by the way, anti-Judaism even, because they have nothing to do with
Anti-Semitic.
Semitism. Anti-Semitic Hamas. And because they want to tie the criticism of Israel to the criticism of the Jewish people.
And
When
God
it couldn't be
forbid,
further away
God
from
forbid if you want to criticize the Jewish people.
No, but hold on. Even criticizing religion, that should be something that is acceptable. We can have a debate about religion.
Of course.
You have the right to criticize my religion. I have a right to criticize yours, albeit in a respectful, civil manner. Albeit in a respectful, civil manner, because I don't like bigotry or whatever and discrimination. But when it comes to them, they want to make them like a protected elite, right? Where you can't say anything about them.
Yeah.
And now they want to criminalize anti-Zionism too. You know, if you're anti-Zionist, then you're anti-Semitic. Anti-Semitic, and then we need to ban you.
Yeah, let's see. There's another question with John HH59. On a conversational war basis, can Israel and the US stand up to Iran's arsenal? Well, I would say if it's two of those countries against Iran, yes, because America has a strong military until this day. But we have to know and understand that this is also a proxy war between America versus China and Russia on the biggest domination of the world. So Iran is buddy with China and Russia. America is trying to do all these things to expand in South America. We saw Venezuela. There's going to be more, guys. There's going to be Cuba. We're going to see Colombia. We're going to see Brazil. And if they go to Brazil, it's the end. Yeah, it's going to get crazy. And now Greenland. So America's trying to become the greater America in a way. And China's minding its own business. Russia was minding its own business until they used Ukraine as a proxy. So I think if it was the United States and Israel against Iran, there will be destruction of Israel alongside with Iran, not America, because America's far. But they will destroy Iran. But that will be a long war, because if you have to bring infantry to Iran, you're not going to win. So the only way you're going to win is by the Air Force. What do you think, Mahmoud?
I think that they don't have the capacity to conduct enough attacks to make Iran kneel down and surrender. And that has to do with multiple factors. Number one, the spirit of the Iranian people. These people have been to many wars with many sacrifices. Then their capabilities, their strategic deterrence. The Iranians can handle some people in the region can handle, the Israelis can't handle. That's why they ended the war within 12 days. They want to take Iran down. With that clearly indicated at that time that the United States doesn't want to go all out with Iran because it would be too costly for them. They know that they can't have a conclusive, decisive attack against them only with their air force. They know if they're going to invade with their ground troops, then they're going to be buried in Iran. It's going to be a massive graveyard, probably worse than Afghanistan or Iraq. And the people might actually stick to the establishment even more, which is another strategic stupidity, by the way, because what they've done in June is that they made people who oppose the establishment stand against the United States and Israel. So they'll tell you, okay, I don't support the establishment, for example, or the way the country is run, but I will be with them against Israel and the United States. So they united the people. I think it's impossible, personally, to defeat Iran unless you use tactical nuclear weapons or larger nuclear weapons to kind of destroy everything. But then again, what would you gain from a country that you destroy with nukes? you're not going to be able to do anything for a very long time. Therefore, from these calculations, I think it's impossible to take down Iran. And the biggest loser will be Israel. Yes, the United States is far away. The only thing that will happen to the United States is that its arm in the region, or arms, will be chopped completely, as in once and for good. Every single base will be completely destroyed. Every single hub gone. There will be casualties if they remain there during such an attack. And Israel will be wiped off the map. And then it would be the United States having to take over. Because let's say both of them start attacking Iran, and Iran decided to launch the decisive strike against Israel, like thousands of missiles every single day. What is Israel going to do? Israel's going to be over, done and dusted. It's the United States is going to have to take over and have that liability. And so that's something they don't want to do. They just went out of 2 decades in Afghanistan. And the people, or the group that they were fighting, supposedly, emerged victorious. And they came to power the day after the Americans left. And now that's it, they're running the country. So what kind of message did that send the average American soldier who went to fight for freedom and to spread democracy? That we get chewed up and spat out and no one will look at us afterwards. We are nothing but cannon fodder. They manipulate us, brainwash us, send us to die, send us back in coffins. And if it's not in coffins, then, with heap loads of opium or opioids. And that's it. Done deal.
Yeah.
So there's no hope for them with Iran. There's no hope.
Yeah, I mean, if it really goes all the way out, unfortunately, when Iran, if it nukes Israel, the Palestinians will cease to exist alongside with the Israelis. Because
I don't think they will nuke. I don't think they will nuke Iran. Even if they have it, I don't think, unless nuclear weapons are used against them. And assuming they may have some nuclear bombs that they're keeping as a secret, they use only tactical nuclear bombs against strategic locations, like in the Kiryat area, a couple of bases here and there. That would, not kill everyone. But that's a long shot. But it's a possibility. I mean, that's the scary thing, is that, with the American administration and this warmongering that's going on, the prospect of having a nuclear war still does exist.
Oh, yeah.
And like you mentioned, Iran is connected to China and Russia. And they're already meddling with Russia. They have been for several years.
Yeah.
And if they're willing to act irrational with them, then there is a prospect, because it's conversational. It's at a conversation level already, the prospect of using nukes.
Yeah.
And that's
let's see. We'll take one last question, guys. And this is the one from Claudine 2828. I have also a question about news and the situation in Iran. Do you know anything about the Iranians refugees arriving in Istanbul by bus? They said it is true about the Iran regime. I don't know nothing about that, and I don't know about a bus from Iran to Istanbul. Do you know anything about that, Mahmoud? Have you heard anything about that?
I haven't actually heard anything of the sort, no. I know that I speak with Iranians regularly, number one. And they've been telling me that things are normal in Iran now. There are people inside of Iran driving and posting videos normally. The only thing that's different now is that, so there was no refugee wave or whatever. The notable things to know about Iran now is that things are quiet in the country. Everything is under control and people in Tehran are moving freely normally, day-to-day life. As a matter of fact, I saw videos like that during what was called, the peak protest. And also the thing that is worth mentioning is that Iran managed to have a clever system of restricting foreign communication terrorism against the country. where they're blocking the foreign communication from coming inside of Iran. Only things from Iran go abroad. And also, they managed to take down the Starlink connection that they wanted to implant there for their thugs. And they're going to be implementing, or have already started implementing, their own internal communication system similar to China, which would exclude any sort of Western technology from infiltrating Iran. And the more they act hostile with them, the more Iran takes more precautionary measures and these defensive measures to protect themselves and their population.
Yeah. Well, I guess that should be good for today, Mahmoud. I hope there's no war. I don't want to see people dying anywhere.
So yeah, of course.
So I guess until then, guys, it's always free Palestine, but this time it's also free Iran from the Zios and free America from the Zios too.
Yeah, free the world.
Free the world from Zionism, guys, because it's us versus them. It's the whole world versus them at this point.
Us versus it.
Them Well, thank you so much, Mahmoud. I really appreciate your time, and
thank you for having me. Good to speak to you again, brother, and chat as well. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, guys, and we'll see you on the next one. And always free Palestine.